I'm actually from Australia. I'm from Brisbane. But I've been working in Mongolia for the last 5 years. My wife is Mongolian. And we got married in Mongolia in winter. It was minus 18 degrees. So it was a very cold wedding. We have one son, and his name is Temulan. And Temulan means courageous. And he's a boy, not a girl. He has long hair. He's a boy. And he's my son. And I've been working in Mongolia. That's where Mongolia is. It's between Russia and China. Before I tell you more about Mongolia, I want to tell you why I went to Mongolia. My mum and dad are Christians. But when I was 14, I made the decision for myself. If your parents are Christians, does that mean you are a Christian? No. If my parents are Christians, I still have to make that choice myself. When I was 14, I chose to follow Jesus. When I was 22, I was working as a carpenter. I am a carpenter, just like Jesus. I build houses. That's my job. When I was 22, I was wondering, why am I alive? Do you ever wonder that? What is the purpose of my life? Do you wonder that sometimes? Why am I on this earth? Why? When I was 22 years old, this was the question in my mind. Is this all there is to life? Every day I go to work to earn the money, to buy the food, to give me strength, to go to work, to earn the money, to buy the food, to give me strength, to go to work, to earn the money, to buy the food, to give... It's just like an endless cycle. Why? Why? When I was 22, I was reading the Bible, the Injil, the Bible. And there's a book in the Bible called Ecclesiastes. It's called that in English, Ecclesiastes. And the person who wrote this book was the richest man who ever lived. He was the wisest man who ever lived. His name was King Solomon. He had everything he wanted. Everything. If he liked that horse, he would take it. If he liked that, I was going to say car, but those days there was no cars. Anything he wanted, he could have it. You know what? If he saw a girl who he liked, he could have her. He had 700 wives. This man had everything he wanted. And he wrote this book called Ecclesiastes. And do you know how it starts? Meaningless, meaningless, everything is meaningless. He says, the sun rises and the sun sets, only to hurry back to where it rises again. It says it rains into the rivers. The rivers flow into the ocean, but the ocean is never full. It's meaningless. And then it talks. He talks about how he tried to find meaning in life. He built big houses. He built palaces for his wife, for himself. He had beautiful gardens. He had lots of fruit trees. He had lots of slaves. He had singers who would run in front of him singing, Solomon is coming! Solomon is coming! And people would get out of the way so the king would walk past. But this man who had everything said, it's meaningless. Meaningless. And as I was reading this book, in the Bible, I was saying, yeah, that's right. It's meaningless. What's the purpose? Why? Why? But you get to the end of Ecclesiastes. And in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13, it says this. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. When I read that, God made a light go on in my head. Suddenly I understood the purpose of life. The purpose of life is, number one, to have a relationship with God. That is the purpose of life, to fear God, to have a relationship with God. A close relationship with God. But number two is to tell as many people about the good news of what Jesus did for me. When I read that verse, it said, fear God and keep his commandments. And God gave me the commandment. We often think of the 10 commandments. He gave me another commandment. In Matthew 28, verse 18 to 20, it says, go into all the world and share the good news. What is the good news? The good news is this. Every single person in this room, every single person in the world has shame, has sin. Every single person deserves to go to hell. But Jesus died on the cross for me and for you. And he provided the opportunity for me and you and everyone to go to heaven. Only through Jesus. And he said to me, Jeff, the purpose of life is to tell people about Jesus. That's the purpose of my life. That's the purpose of your life. And that's why I went to Mongolia. Because in Mongolia, lots of people have never heard about Jesus. Never. And God took me to Mongolia, to this beautiful country, to these beautiful people. And I've learned the language. And now I'm telling these people about Jesus. And let me introduce you to Mongolia. This is the capital city. It's called Ulaanbaatar. Ulan means red, Baatar is hero. Ulaanbaatar is the name of the capital city, Red Hero. This city, next one, is a very fast developing city. There's big high-rise buildings going up now. But still, most people live like this. They live in these round gers. You might know them as yurts. They're like a tent. This is how the people live. Next one. I lived in a Mongolian ger myself for 1 year, and it was wonderful. Yeah. In Mongolia, most of the people are nomads. They have sheep, goats, they have cows, yaks, they have camels, they have horses. The people love their animals. Yeah. Who can guess what one of the main sports in Mongolia is? Can anybody guess? Huh? Wrestling, horse racing, you're both right, yes. But horse racing, Mongolians love horse racing. But if you want to race a horse in Mongolia, you have to be younger than 12 years old. The next one, wrestling. Mongolians love wrestling. And when I'm in Mongolia, I wrestle a lot of people. But I need to get stronger. And the third main sport is archery. This is also a main sport in Mongolia. But Mongolians also love culture. They love dancing. They love ballet. They love singing. They're very cultured people. Next one. But Mongolians are nomads. And you know, before I went to Mongolia, God said to me, Jeff, you are a nomad for Jesus.